Hello. I believe we are now live on Facebook. Little bar on the Facebook Live tab is going up, so I'm just checking. Yes, we are. So nice to meet you. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Emily Bryson, and I am one of the authors of Voices, one of the National Geographic Learning's coursebook series. And I have been working with refugees and people seeking refuge in the UK since 2007. And today I am delighted to have Lora Agbaso with us today. Lora, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah, hello, Emily. Hello, everyone. And I'm happy to be here and thank you for inviting. And it's my pleasure that you are here watching us live today. And it's so important. This topic is so close to my heart. And I'm really appreciate that people are interested in this topic and they want to support their students. So I'm Lora Agbaso and I'm originally from Eastern Ukraine. I moved to the UK in 2014. My family and I, we had to flee the conflict in Eastern Ukraine. And that was the day when my life divided into two, a life before and life after. It's just like a blink of an eye. You live like normal life like other people with all its ups and downs. And I was teaching English as a foreign language for more than a decade in Ukraine. And then I found myself here. And I think it was like beautiful time. I met a lot of people, beautiful views, nice, everything, but it was, I can say, the darkest time of my life. Everything changed. You're not you anymore. So during these dark times, I volunteered there was a bit of light for me. I volunteered with Red Cross. I was supporting classes, ESOL classes in Red Cross. And I did my master's in teaching English as a foreign language, to speak as a other language in Cardiff Metropolitan University and in the University of Leicester. And now I teach ESOL in college. And I work as a research assistant and mental health foundation. And we do research into well-being of asylum seekers and refugees. I'm also a volunteer in ESOL, ITEFL ESOL SIG, and I'm a trustee in English for Action. And luckily for me, I work with people who all of them do amazing job supporting refugees and asylum seekers in different ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're a very busy woman and a very inspiring woman as well. I'm so glad that you came on to share your experiences, because I think they're particularly unique because you've got a dual perspective from you're an ESOL teacher and you were an English language teacher before you moved to the UK. And then, so you've got the dual perspective also of going through the asylum system in the UK and then getting your leave to remain. So you really know exactly what the challenges are that students might face in those situations. So yeah, could you share a little bit about the challenges that you faced?
Okay.
If you're happy to, if you prefer not to, that's completely okay. What about your English teaching? What advice would you give to teachers who are supporting people from refugee backgrounds?
5 seconds of silence, yeah? How did you feel, Emily, when I didn't respond to your question?
Sorry, I thought maybe I don't want to get too personal with you or to upset you in any way. So because I understand that this can be quite a personal topic, so I don't want. Please just don't say anything.
No, I mean, you asked me the question and then there was no answer, like 5-10 seconds. I noticed you were worried a bit.
Yeah.
What's going on? Why is she not responding?
Yeah.
And That is 5 seconds of example of asylum life for you, of the person who is an asylum seeker in the UK, because maybe people from other parts in the world are watching us. So asylum seeker is a person who came to the UK and applied for a status to remain in the UK for some time or forever. So those 5 seconds is a perfect example for you of life of asylum seeker in the UK. Only 5 seconds, and I noticed your eyes, you were worried. She's not answering. Is anything wrong? And what is happening? So that is exactly how people live. You just stay on your own, and something is going on, and you cannot control the situation. Somebody is just deciding on your life. What will be the decision on your life? Will they allow you to stay? Will they tell you to go back? When that decision will come? And I don't know, Emily, for you, but when you were waiting for those 5 seconds, you're at home, yeah? And you feel kind of safe, and I see your beautiful, competent flowers around you. So when you are waiting for the decision from home office is absolutely different, because you don't have your home here, and you don't have your friends around, and you don't have anything that you had before in the past, your work, your family, your friends, your home, your whatever you see around you is not with you. And you're waiting, but not 5 seconds. Some people can wait like that for a year, for 2 years. For my experience was 7 years. And your friends are fear, anxiety, uncertainty, shame, guilt. These are 5 that they are with you on the daily basis. You have your friends back home, but it is kind of hard to connect with them because they remained there, and my friends remained in the conflict zone. And I was here. I was feeling like I had terrible feeling of shame that I left them, I betrayed them, and I'm safe here, and they're not. And it is so important to understand that that is how trauma works. And it is not your fault that it happened. And it is like understanding your body. I think understanding self-knowledge is the best medicine. But if you kind of don't have idea that is how trauma works, that you don't know that trauma is like, it robs you from sense of safety, of feeling of safety, control over your life, takes your ability to cope with daily activities, and it's just a sense that fear and shame and uncertainty to control you, and you feel so helpless, and you feel like the world is not the world anymore, that world I know. And if what I had before, something basic, something connection with my friends, with my family, it was taken so easily. How can I trust other people? So basically, you feel like just staying on your own somewhere, maybe far in the wood, and not building any connections again.
So, I'm sorry, continue.
No. I mean, another thing is, it's very hard to build, like to dream. I think it was my biggest issue that I was not able to dream. You know, when you live life and you dream, okay, this Sunday I'm going to visit my friends, or I'm going to, when I finish uni, I'm going there and here. So you kind of, you build plans. Either they happen or not, we don't know, but you dream. But when trauma comes to your life, it takes your this ability to dream from you, and it is scary. You think what a dream is a dream, but those dreams, they help us move, make steps, and build and plan, and just sometimes dream, why not? And I think this was the biggest point that it was taken from me. And I was thinking, how can I be, what can I do in 1 year? No, I can't even think about it, because you can't plan your life.
So when teaching ESOL classes, your experience has obviously informed how you teach classes. How would you deal with students who maybe have also who can't maybe focus on their dreams so much because would that be a case of focusing on the present, or how would you, what's your approach in that instance?
So before I move to that, I'll just tell you a couple of what I did when I did my master's. I did my research into trauma and adult ESOL classroom in Wales. And I spoke to teachers, and interestingly that 85% of teachers here in Wales said that they were approached by students to talk about their trauma. 85% of teachers, and it's quite a huge number. And 95% of them said that they didn't have any training on trauma, so they didn't know how to deal with that. And 1/3 of teachers said they didn't understand how trauma impacts the brain and how it works. So like, it is important to know the science of trauma, and we developed a model. We call it I am self model, and the name came from, I think that was the sentences said when I had that click in my body, and I felt like after some time I reunited with my old self, and it was an emotional meeting after many years that I felt like I'm self. That is how I used to be, and I can control my life now despite how difficult it is. So based on that, I built my teaching approach. And so the first thing goes for I, and that is identify. And I believe that the teachers who work in the ESOL classroom, they have to be able to identify signs of trauma. And A for accept that bad behaviors can be symptoms of trauma. For example, if you see somebody who is too quiet in the classroom, or somebody who is opposite, like overwhelmed, or a person who looks exhausted, maybe because of not having enough sleep, and somebody who doesn't want to work with other students, or having difficulties to focus or concentrate in the class or remember things or even speak. It doesn't mean that the person is not interested or not motivated, but maybe there is something that prevents the person from learning. So then I take 4 main concepts in my classroom when I plan the lessons, and I try to make sure that every one of them isn't built in the lesson. So that calls for self, safety, emotions, loss, and future. So every time I plan my lesson, I will ask myself the question, are my students safe in the class? So what we usually do, like at the beginning of the year, I start the year with different activities. We speak about our life journeys. It's important, I believe, to know who is in your class and what their experience is. But instead of asking them questions like where you're coming from and what like lives did you have before, life experiences, we speak about it from the point of language. So we speak about language journey. We draw the river, and students can speak about their lives and explain about how they learned the first language, what helped them to learn the first language, and then when they started learning the second language. So it gives you, like a teacher, an impression about the student, and you know what are the student experiences about in terms of language. But at the same time, if students want to open up, they can give you a bit of some hints about their past and you know where they're coming from, and when they left their countries, and so it's up to them. And so it's kind of a safe way to learn about your students in the class.
Would you ask them explicitly about that, or
no?
I always feel a bit wary of asking too personal questions.
No, we speak only about the language. So we just try to, the main purpose looks like we try to find the strategies they used for learning the first language, and then we make a list of strategies. Like, I watched the cartoon, how many times you repeated that word, how many times you heard that word from in the childhood. So basically kind of focusing on the language.
Okay.
But it's interesting that some students, they will start speaking about their life experiences, and some people will say, oh, when I stayed in the camp, people spoke that language over there, but I didn't learn the language because I just stayed on one. So it's up to them as much as they want. I don't ask them to speak about their experience, but if they want, they will speak about it, and which I think is a good thing. And also, then I would do like a small questionnaires, and I ask them about like different stuff. And one of the questions is like, are there any topics you don't want to speak about in the class? From the very first lesson. You don't have to explain why.
Maybe in the individual learning plan at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, so I know that this student said she doesn't want to speak about children. So I try not to. Then also another thing is, I tell them at the very beginning, at the very first lesson, that we all come from different countries. We're all of different age, and it's impossible to make everyone safe in the class. If only me who plans this. So you are in charge of your own well-being as well. Because when you leave this classroom, I can't follow you and make sure you're safe every time. So you need to learn how to take care about yourself. What if it happens, we speak about the topic, there's so many, and you can't even predict what can trigger. So we speak about, I explain them about what trigger is, and how can it make you feel. And also we then talk about, like, this is your body, this is your brain, this is your life, and you are in charge of it. You are the owner of your body. So you have to be responsible for your well-being. And then we create different ways to talk about it, to like different signs in the class. Like one of my group, they said we created skip button. For example, we speak about the topic and you don't want to speak about it, or you don't want even others to speak about it, you can just say skip. We speak about it. We will still use the same, we will learn the words, we will learn the grammar, but we will use a different approach.
So just training the students right from the beginning.
Yeah. So, for example, we
spoke
about sites and in their countries of origin, and so many were excited to show like a village in Afghanistan and what they cook, and finding videos on YouTube, making presentation, because they feel like they own their knowledge. This is what they are like confident about what they are teachers at that time. And if you don't want to speak about it, you can say skip, but it doesn't mean you can skip the task. You can choose any country, anything you want to speak about, but not your own country. So I know that I will not ask, oh, why don't you want to speak about your country? So we learn how to be safe and how to be responsible for the well-being. And then I try to educate them about emotions, because I think it's very important to know the language to speak about emotions and how you feel and why you feel. And it's really helpful, because like some students will say, oh, I'm afraid of making phone calls because they will not understand me. So what happens first? Your fear, or they will not understand you. So it's not them, it's you. So let's learn how to
Fear
deal
kind
with
of
that.
becomes all-consuming, doesn't
Yeah,
it? And then becomes a big
and
worry that
we try to learn on experience from each other, because some people manage to cope with fear and they share those techniques. Again, they become teachers. I said, for me, the best lesson is if I learn something from my students, if I give them power to teach and to kind of, that will be meaningful lesson for me. So I know that they are always feel proud that they know something and they can share the knowledge with others. We try to speak about, not try, but we'll try to inbuild a topic of loss in our lessons as well. For example, it's painful topic for everyone in the class, if they had trauma or not, but speaking about loss of home, that is for every student, they're all disconnected from home and it's painful. I usually ask them about that in advance. Do you want to speak about it? It is not compulsory. If at least one person doesn't want, no, we will not raise the topic. But we did that with the students and they were very, they appreciated that lesson. They said that it was really painful at the beginning, sharing the memories, and some share their first visit to home when they return, and they said that it really helped them to have that, that shared space where they can speak about experiences that other students have as well, and there is kind of mutual understanding, and it's hard for them to find it outside the ESOL classroom. And if you don't speak about it, it will still be moving in your body and it will still be eating you, so you need to speak about it. And I believe that this ESOL classroom is the best place, but also we have to think about each other and being responsible for our well-being. And if you don't want, it's not by force.
So you're very much of the opinion that people that try to be open about.
I believe people. But when they're ready, it's not by force. And sometimes listen to it is painful as well. But I tell them about my experience, that while I was keeping it to myself, it was so hard. When you start sharing, it is easier. But all of us are different, so it's not for everyone. But I find it important as well. Give them space to speak as much or as little as they want. And we also speak about future. About future, helping them to dream, helping them to build find the big dream, and then build the small steps towards the dream. And even future starts from present as well, not only from past, from present as well. So we try to bring as many as authentic materials to classroom and helping them to control their life, their present life a bit. Some struggling even taking train. So we learn how to take train, how to buy ticket, how to read the ticket, how to fill the application form for ticket refund if the plane comes late. So giving them that a bit of agency of their life today.
Just keeping things as practical as possible. And useful to their daily lives.
Trying to find something special in every person, listening to everyone in the class, listening to the silence, and finding something special about the person and trying to celebrate that uniqueness of every student. And
because I guess every student's resettling in an unfamiliar country, they're missing their families, they're worrying about things, they're not sure how their application for settlement is going to go. Have you got any tips for the students themselves for settling in a new country, or even from for the teachers to support the students who are resettling?
We had a lesson recently. It's not really about resettling like a tip. We we do a lot of therapeutic storytelling in the class. And we read a story about an eaglet who grew up with the chickens, and then that eaglet, you know that story, yeah? All the life.
Oh, like the ugly duckling? I don't know if you can call it that anymore.
Yeah,
Hans Christian Andersen one. Yeah.
Yeah, it is like ugly duckling, very similar story. And he grew up among the chickens and was sure that it was a chicken. And then it saw a huge eagle up in the sky and was frightened and hiding. And then all of a sudden, so he asked the chickens, what is that bird up in the sky? And they said, oh, it's an eagle. And I looked at someone and said, looks like me. And it was up to that eaglet now to become a chicken or to become an eagle. And we spoke about that story, and it was interesting that the students said, oh, this is like us.
Oh, really?
Because I never thought about it. And they said, this is like us. Because one day we all were eagles. We were strong enough to come to this country, but we turned into chickens here. And that brought us to discussion, and we spoke about it. And so why were you eagles? So they themselves, they started asking questions. So how happened that we were eagles? We were strong enough to come. We had that power to leave our communities, to leave
that takes
wherever environment, and it takes a lot of strength to leave and come. And then all of a sudden we turned it into chickens, and all of them said, no, we can't achieve because we are chickens. And we started analyzing it, and they said, like, yes, missing the culture, and fish lives in the water, birds live in the sky, but we are not in our own community, so we need to. So what are you missing from your own community? They will bring the list. And I think that nice thing that for them, they will analyze, not the teacher gives. Sometimes they own more knowledge on this than the teacher. And then they will write the list. Yes, this is not enough. This is not enough from our eagle background, and this is what we need, and this is what we can build. And also then they write a letter to the bird and give advice. Dear bird, I think you should live your life as a chicken, or you should become an eagle. Everyone chose an eagle, and they give a good advice to that bird. And I told them, now put this letter above your bed, and anytime you feel bad, read this letter, because this is the letter to yourself. And they read it, and they said, it's so much true, because I wrote it to myself, this letter. And I think for them, it's just like believing in yourself.
Yeah.
Just remembering that you were an eagle one day, and you were strong enough to fly away from there and come here. So it's
enough. You can be an eagle again.
Yeah, but again, if you're happy being a chicken, it's fine.
Yeah. I love that metaphor. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, what a great metaphor, and a great way to get the students thinking in it, or being able to dream again. Yeah, I think it helps them to leave that cycle of victimhood, and they come and remember, yes, why not? And thanks so much. That's a perfect place to end as well. I think on that beautiful visual. I might need to draw that at some point. Eagles and chickens. Yeah. So thanks so much, Laura, for coming on and for sharing your experiences and all your ideas and advice for helping people who are seeking refuge. It's been absolutely invaluable. Thank you so much. Thank you. So this is part of a series of Facebook Lives, which will be hosted on the National Geographic Learning Teaching Through Crisis pages, where there will be resources. We already have some resources on there, so go check them out. There'll be a link in the comments, I believe, at the moment. There will also be some links to some upcoming sessions. So on Saturday morning, we have Emily Wilson from the Pandora project and from the largest refugee camp in Greece, who will be talking about education for people living in refugee camps. And on Monday morning, we will have Polly Eckhurst from the Amala project, and two of her facilitators. One is Holly, I'm not entirely sure how to say the name. In fact, you can find the information in the event page on Monday at 10 o'clock, and they will be talking again about learning programs in refugee camps, maybe for young adults. So they will be amazing sessions, more and more to come. So keep an eye on the National Geographic Learning Europe page. So thanks for coming, and thank you, Laura, you've been absolutely amazing. Thanks, it's been great speaking to you. It's always great speaking to you and hearing your advice and experience.
Thank you.
Great,
Bye.
thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.